In the second half of 1944, air raids intensified every day and night. Allied planes flew over and often bombed the factory. Several halls were partially damaged and the prisoners began to be transferred to other commandos. The barrack commander ordered the underground passage from the bedroom side to the halls to be bricked up for fear of sabotage.
On the bricked-up wall from the bedroom, the capo ordered us to paint a picture from a postcard. They were mountains where sheep grazed and a Highlander sat under the bell and played the pipe. The capo found out that there was a prisoner who taught drawing at school. He gave him some cans of oil paints and 4 brushes and said it had to be like it was on the postcard. He assigned me to help. One had to paint after work at the expense of sleep. After a dozen or so days of work, we finished. The capo was pleased and he even showed it to the commander of the barrack. For this work, we got a few more refills of dinner soup. In January 1945, there was a carpet raid on our plants. During this raid, both high explosive and phosphorus bombs were dropped, because everything burned with a yellow-green flame. Everything, both the halls and warehouses, were destroyed. We were in the forest outside the buildings and only a few prisoners were killed and a few injured. The civilian foremen at Heinkel were different. Most treated us as criminals and lawbreakers, but there were also those who knew the truth. They knew why we were locked up in camps and felt sorry for us, but they were afraid to show openly because others immediately reported it and such a person was sent to the Eastern Front. One of those favourable to us was Foreman Fethk. Sometimes he would bring a piece of bread or a few potatoes and hide it in a corner, and discreetly show us where he put it.
After the last raid, Pytlewski was taken to the Sachsenhausen camp where he worked in a car repair shop. At the end of March 1944, the Allies launched a massive raid on Berlin and Sachsenhausen. All plants around the camp were destroyed.
During this raid, I was working in the workshop when the bombs started flying. The watchmen and supervisors fled to the shelters and we were left unattended. When we saw that there was no supervision, we hid in a nearby grove and watched our workshop and others crumble to rubble. We could have run away, but everyone was afraid because we saw how such escapes ended. A few tried, but right after the raid, the dogs found the escapees and it ended sadly. Recognizing this, I returned to my workplace immediately after the air raids. We saw that our workshops were no longer there. Only a pile of rubble remained. A capo came, ordered us to remove the debris and retrieve tools and machines that would still be in need of repair. We were no longer assigned to any work because preparations for the evacuation of the camp had begun. In April 1945, the sounds of missiles detonating were heard. We guessed that the front was approaching and naturally, liberation with it. We did not guess that they were preparing a death march for us. A lot of soldiers came to convoy columns of prisoners during the evacuation of the camp. There was hope that the coming troops would bring us freedom.